So welcome to Friday Fuel, everyone. Pizza and beer and stuff. Ryan's come in. He works over at Lionsgate, and he's here to tell us today all about a short film that he made, which went to Sundance last year. This year. Yeah, so he's going to tell you the story of that, which should be very interesting. So over to you.
Thanks, man. I just want to see you. Thanks everybody for coming. This is kind of surreal because there's a few people who work on the Lionsgate account that I'm presenting to. It's like super awkward now. I feel the pressure. Anyway, so my film Sundance that I made whilst I was at university in late 2013 got accepted to Sundance Festival this year via a very convoluted, weird pathway. So I thought, Ellie invited me here, and maybe I'd just talk very anecdotally about sort of that experience and the crazy way a short film can sort of go viral. I guess you can relate to that a little bit in media agency. So the film itself was called Russian Roulette, and it was basically a short comedy about a sort of lonely girl who's just moved to London, who had this basic search in Chat Roulette for someone to connect with. And obviously, being a naive sort of young girl, she's 21, so she's not super young, but she doesn't realise the sort of weirdos that she can encounter on Chat Roulette. So she meets a Russian astronaut who they have a sweet little connection with, and they reassure each other, and it's a nice little payoff at the end. But as you can see here, we sort of Sorry. As you can see, we sort of housed it on Vimeo. I'm really confident around this. So we housed it on Vimeo directly after we made it. It cost us £50 to make. While we were I was working on a bigger short film with a London Film School director. I produced it, by the way, and the director was working on another big project bigger short film with Film 4. So both projects working in tandem were quite time-consuming and laborious. So we decided to make this a bit of fun, and so we made it for £50 over a weekend, and the film completely outperformed against the other two that we made, ridiculously. So it just goes to show you nobody knows anything from film industry. But so the film itself, you can see a couple of stills from it here. Up top left is our main character Yagi, who's the Russian cosmonaut in Chat Roulette, and then you see the girl's reaction to him. The £50 that I was referring to earlier, by the way, was the thing that paid for that backdrop of the space station. So that's just recycling bags and pins and a poster of the Earth sort of lit up by a backlight there. The little screws on the capture windows are just Coke bottle tops, so it really was a dodgy production design job there. But that's the film. So the filmmakers. This photo is super lame, but it's on our website, so it's the only one of all three of us together. Ben is the director. He's the London Film School director who, after this film and the success of another couple of his, he's getting a lot of rep now. He's got agents in LA and London, so he's doing really well. Ollie is his writing partner who they've known since they were children, and me in the middle. So the first thing that we sort of got in the way of success with this film was accepted into Sundance London. It's sort of Sundance Light. It's every year, actually it's not happening this year, but every year Sundance Festival comes to London and accepts lots of British films, more so than the big festival, and does this sort of sister festival. So it all takes place in the O2 Centre, and they just run sort of similar short film competitions to the way they do it in Sundance, the big one. So we were accepted, and we subsequently won the jury prize for best short film there. So it was pretty crazy to make a film that we intended to be shown on a laptop on Vimeo, and then blow it up onto this sky screen at the O2 Centre, which is just crazy because it's just not how we intended it at all. We met all the guys who are like the directors of short film programming and everything at Sundance there, and I don't know how we did it. I think they just liked the story that it was made for £50, and they just sort of saw that as a bit of a PR opportunity more so than how good the film was. But yeah, so we spoke with them. We didn't get necessarily accepted into Sundance Reel because of this, but they said apply and you'll be more likely than not to be accepted. So we did that. Crazy. Subsequently, we were chosen for the Vimeo staff pick over Christmas last year, so we were on the homepage of Vimeo. Actually, when we first made the film, we submitted it for Vimeo staff pick. We know the guys who do the picks in New York reasonably well, and we sort of said, can we do it? They said no. They didn't think the film was suitable, so we were like, fine, fair enough. Then we got accepted into Sundance, contacted them again, and they were like, oh, okay, then we'll put you on now. So they put us on for 3 days over Christmas, and we got about 60 to 70,000 views in 3 days, which is quite good, but nothing compared to Ben, who directed this film. He directs another film about a guy who takes his skin off for his girlfriend in a bit to sort of like show her that he can sacrifice himself for her. And that film got 1.2 million views on Vimeo in a week. And that all came from like this crazy crowdfunding campaign that he was doing for a long, long time, for 9 months, with the help of some producers from Film 4. And he amassed this crazy social media following. So when he did release the film, it got picked up everywhere from like Slash Film, IndieWire, all those sort of like cool film sites, and then just shared and shared and shared and shared and shared. And it got 1.2 million views in a week on Vimeo, which is just like unheard of. So so after this Vimeo staff pick, and we knew we had been accepted into Sundance, we managed to convince, for some reason, the Telegraph agreed to this. The Telegraph online site put sort of a blog up from us as their sort of like reporters at Sundance as first-time filmmakers, and we sort of didn't really have the tone in the way that we normally write as their audience, so we sort of went a little bit cheeky, and they went for it. It was great. Subsequently, they called our blog the Sundance Version Diary, which I really like. So whilst we were out at the festival, we were sort of getting into like parties and certain like mingling events and all that, so we had to try and transcribe all that and put it into a blog for these guys. So that was quite fun while we were out there. We screened the film 4 times while we were there, and every screening was sold out, which was absolutely ridiculous because like we made this £50, 5-minute short film and had like audience at Sundance, 300, 400 people every time in theatres watching it, and then we had to do Q&As afterwards, which was like even more surreal because there were like real life directors and filmmakers in the audience that were sort of like listening to our Q&As, and we were just completely like thought this was ridiculous. So that was the Telegraph thing. This is all of us at Sundance being newbies, posing in front of the step and repeat. But the guy on the left there is another filmmaker from LA who made this amazing animation sort of live action puppeting actually film, which was co-produced by MTV, and he was in our short film category as well. And what I wanted to sort of stress about Sundance is that it really, really is a festival for filmmakers and for people who are interested in more than just the glamorous celebrity side of film. So they have this thing which is called Sundance Labs, where they sort of have people pitch their ideas to them, and then they give the full weight of the Sundance Institute, their alumni, and the money that they can offer, and make sort of like less commercial, independent films coming to fruition. And Ian, who's the guy on the left there, is doing another puppeting film. He's developing his short into a feature with the backing of Sundance. So the thing that I thought us three really got from it was that the institute itself really, really, really supports first-time filmmakers and wants to sort of champion and pioneer these sort of new talent. So that's something I didn't know about Sundance as much as I do now. So I just wanted to stress that because I'm a big advocate of what they're doing. This is just because Utah itself is a beautiful, beautiful place. On the first day that I arrived in, or on my flight even, out there, I met on the plane, strangely, Harvey Weinstein's assistant in the UK. So we got chatting with her, and she'd already seen the short, Russian Roulette, on Vimeo, and she wanted to meet the filmmakers. So we went over to Waldorf, I think this is, in Utah, and sort of had a meeting with her, and we thought, like, this is surreal, in this fancy hotel, meeting Harvey Weinstein's assistant. And that's the sort of thing that if you just get to that festival, these crazy things happen, and it's quite fun. So that's Utah. This was our hotel we stayed in. It looks like Foxcatcher Estate in that film. Don't know why I put that in, it's one of the only good photos. This was our hotel in Salt Lake City, which is completely different. Nice, awful. But what I thought I'd talk to you about is the presence of like virtual reality in Sundance. Basically, this is me flying on like a rig, where it's like a simulator using Oculus Rift technology, simulate flying over San Francisco and the Alps. So they had a massive presence in what's called the New Frontiers Lodge at Sundance, where they bring in all this new cutting-edge technology like virtual reality and sort of give it to people, press, filmmakers, people with values basically, to sort of test out and give their feedback on. So Oculus Rift, by the way, I know you are all aware of it, is absolutely incredible, and this sort of like what it can achieve and the sort of feeling, especially with what looks like a very like badly made rig there with a fan in your face, but it seriously felt like unreal. And the queues for this exhibit were about, so that it sat out. There's a queue that was massive at 9 o'clock in the morning, and by 9:30 it would have already sold out for the entire day, and they only do it on a day-to-day basis. So that was just how impressive and sort of anticipated the virtual reality technology at Sundance was. We were approached halfway through the festival by the head of the shorts programming and a woman from Condé Nast, the publishers, and basically they wanted us to sell our film to them for their online channels. So, as I say, this £50 short film that we made in a weekend was basically being looked to be picked up by this huge American publishing company. French, I don't know. But yeah, so basically over a couple of days we negotiated with them and sold the short film for just way more than we had made it for. And it's now going to go and be shown on the Wired YouTube channel. It's going to debut in about a month or two, and I imagine we're going to get quite a few views from that. But I just wanted to basically reinforce the point that if you don't make it in this regard, or if you don't decide to do something, whether it's because you think there's certain obstacles in the way, or something that there's too many downsides to a project and there are upsides. If you just go out and do it, then good things could happen or might happen. So I think the big takeout that we've got from this whole thing was really that it's a case if we want to do something for fun and turn it into something that's gone absolutely crazy, then sometimes you just get a bit of luck and it happens and it all gets momentum. And so Wired Magazine are now putting our film on their YouTube channels and paid a ridiculous amount for it, and it's all good news. So from that, we have now been commissioned to make 5 more short films for Wired, and created our own production company between me and the writer and the director of Russian Roulette, called Paper Epic Productions, which is something that the filmmakers really wanted to do for years, but didn't really have a reason to do it. So now we're making these 5 more short films for Wired in the next 3 to 4 months. We've made our own company. So off the back of this, and I want to reinforce, completely fun activity we did on a weekend, we're now award-winning filmmakers with a bit of money to spend, and now have a business almost from it, company. So I don't know, mumble and bumble my way through this, but basically what I'm trying to say is even if it's something stupid that you sort of do over a weekend, it could end up being worthwhile. So don't stop just because you don't think something's worthwhile. My attempt at crummy philosophy. Anyway, that's the end. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
What was the original intention for the film when you decided to make it? So you weren't making it for Sundance, but you entered it for Sundance. So was it just a random thing that you decided to do?
It's a good question. When we made it, we literally just made it to show our friends because with the director was on the film school and he has lots of filmmaking friends. I have quite a few filmmaking connections as well. We just kind of wanted to make it and share it out to our friends and the comedian in the film is a friend of ours and the guy is another short film actor. And we just sort of wanted to keep it in our short film community and just be like, hey, this is a bit of a laugh, enjoy it, it's 5 minutes, it's not going to really take any time out of your day. But I guess that was the point of why people picked up on it and liked it so much, because it was just fun and light-hearted and something that wasn't going to interrupt their day too much. So that was our intention.
Where did the idea come from?
It came from an astronaut called, well, it wasn't his idea, but the two guys when they were making the film. If you know who Chris Hadfield is, he's a Canadian astronaut who sort of spends a lot of time on the International Space Station and sends like YouTube videos of him like playing David Bowie in space and like sending Christmas messages and like just showing sort of like social media community what it's like to be on the International Space Station. The idea came from sort of a fictional astronaut having like a following, almost like a serial killer has a following and like fans and a community about that serial killer who's like sending letters, almost like fan mail. This happens, I didn't know about this before, but apparently it's happened. So he wanted to make this idea of a spaceman having a fan community, but the story was a bit sort of long-winded for a short film, so they really tightened it down and sort of wanted to showcase how sort of shit London was at the moment in terms of like bad weather and people not mingling as much as they should do, and so it became a woman looking for someone to connect with who finds this astronaut. Director can answer a question like that though, that's the artistic side of it. Yeah. Did that answer your question? I don't know.
How did you used to get the Bowie track for when you had the question?
Good question. When I said that we originally intended just to show our friends, we didn't bother really looking for rights because we knew it was going to just be a contained thing. I got some advice that if the license holder found it online, as far as they would go would just be like take it down. So we didn't get the rights. We just went for it and we just said like, if they tell us to take it down, and we'll take it down, it's fine. And until now, fingers crossed, they haven't told us to take it down. With this sale, though, to Condé Nast, we have been in touch with them and told them about everything and sort of admitted. And they've been quite cool about it, actually. But I'm still waiting to hear if we can get the rights to the Bowie track, otherwise we're going to have to use an alternative. But yeah, that question's come up so much, and we're just like, but yeah, we're in a control zone. Yeah, go for it.
So I guess you've got a platform for your content now. How hard do you think to replicate success for the first film?
Well, we haven't tried yet. Was something we were kind of worried about ourselves. Fortunately, Ben and Ollie are brilliant and they have great ideas plenty, and I mean, Russian Roulette was one of their very small ideas that they just decided to do. They've got ideas that are just completely crazy, high concept ideas. So I think with the ideas themselves, they're good enough to make, but the actual implementation of it and execution of the ideas, yeah, it's going to be difficult. But if you watch the film, you will know that it just takes place in one room. It's very sort of low scale, and it's just about dialogue and character, and that's what we kind of want to replicate. We don't want to make it too high concept or too thinky. Condé Nast want us to make it like Black Mirror, so like the fun version of Black Mirror. So I guess we're going to have to take it all down and contain it in one environment and just try and get an audience connection with characters that are likeable, that are short and sweet, and
So I guess as well, that's how much influence do you see in production company, how you did people have constraints there or constraints?
They have an influence in terms of they can poo-poo our ideas, but there's no influence in. They trust the director now. I think they know us and they like our work and they trust our sort of reasoning for why we want to make certain things. So there is an influence, a level of influence, because they're money that we're spending. But I think they think we know our audience better than they know our audience, so they just trust us to go away and connect with them. But there might be stumbling blocks in the future, I won't speak too soon, but I imagine there will be some hiccups along the way of what we want to make and what they want to make, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it and hope well, I'm going to go that sense.
Sorry, pushing my hand.
Go for it.
When you've done this next step, will you
Yeah.
come back and take us through how it went and how it kind of
sure.
announced? That would be great.
Yeah, hopefully everyone watches them and we can justify being on the Wire channel. But yeah, definitely. Why not?
We've got the on camera now, so
Yeah.
you're definitely going to have to come back. We've got
Rewind. Is anyone else?
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ryan.